Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Bangor. I am Reverend Drew Muller and I use he, him pronouns. I want to welcome all of you who are joining us today online on Zoom. Let's all wave to the folks online and say hi. And to all those who are here in the sanctuary, we are so glad that you are here. Before we get started, I just want to introduce a guest. We have Aubrey Hanscom. I'm going to stand up and just say hi real quick, who is joining us today as a guest musician. She's going to be singing with Molly for special music, and she's a senior at John Baptist and is also the associate conductor of the Bangor Area Youth Choir. So we got some good people here today for music. Before we get started with the service, I'm going to invite John Ehrman to come up and offer some announcements. And I also want to welcome Marcia Jordan, who is our worship associate today, who's going to be doing the worship associating from down on the floor, so she doesn't have to climb over things to get up here. So well, we're grateful to have people volunteering to read. So, John.
Thank you, Reverend Drew. First, about an event Thursday night. Faith Linking in Action is an interfaith collective working to address the reasons people are falling into and getting stuck in poverty. On Thursday the 18th, Faith Linking in Action is convening an open gathering at the Redeemer Lutheran Church at 540 Essex, featuring Allison Gardner from the Maine League of Women Voters. Doors open at 5:30 for a potluck dinner. I'm making a big pot of vegetarian chili, followed by the meeting from 6 to 8. And during today we are taking up our monthly collection, and as you can see, there's a bunch of non-perishable food down front. If you've brought other food to donate, feel free to bring it up during the opening hymn. Next, an announcement from council. Tracy Haskell had car trouble, so I am delivering this announcement from council. Good morning. Unitarian Universalism is a living faith. When the principles were first introduced in 1985, it was a radical change from the purposes and objectives of the previous version. This year at General Assembly, we are again considering a shift with the proposed changes to Article 2. Reverend Drew's sermons this year have been focused on the values and covenant of this proposed revision. Next Sunday, before our budget discussion, we will take a non-binding vote on the proposed changes to Article 2. This will leave some opportunity for discussion prior to our final vote at our annual meeting in May, a vote that will guide our delegates at General Assembly this June. If anyone needs childcare to attend the meeting next Sunday, please let Christine know before Wednesday, 17th. Speaking of General Assembly, UUSB has an opportunity to have 3 delegates at General Assembly this year. General Assembly is the annual gathering of UUs where we conduct the business of the association, explore the theological underpinnings of our faith, and lean fully into our mission and covenant. Serving as a delegate is a meaningful way to represent our congregation in doing the UU business at General Assembly. Delegates must inform themselves on the issues to be considered and attend business sessions where agenda items such as the proposed changes to Article 2 are discussed and voted on. I've served as a delegate, this is Tracy, I've served as a delegate and I can say it was an incredibly educational experience. I highly recommend serving. If you'd like to be a delegate to the General Assembly, please get in touch with me, Sue McKay, or Reverend Drew. The General Assembly meeting is on Zoom. Okay. So when the collection is taking, this month we're sharing half of the undesignated funds with Faith Linking in Action, which in turn will support the Greater Bangor Housing Coalition, Dignity First, Food and Medicine Right from the Start, and the Maine Association for the Education of Young Children. After today's service, Feel free to stick around for the Spirit of Drumming at 11:30 or to hear Robin Wood play a chime concert at 11:30. Thank you and have a good service.
For those of you who are online who might not have heard that, Rosemary, our treasurer, just reminded us that quarterly statements for your pledge went out this last week, and you can get an update of how much you've paid so far, and it's just kind of a keep track and a reminder that the end of the fiscal year is end of June, and so you want to get your complete pledge in by then. So thank you, Rosemary. Just want to make sure people can hear. Let us all just take a moment or two to come into the space that you are in right now. If you're zooming in and zooming into the space that you're at and connecting with this space, if you're here in the sanctuary, just take a moment to get in touch with whatever energy is present for you right now. Today, on this more beautiful day of spring, as we begin our time of worship together. Let me offer these opening words. We gather. We bring our sorrows and our disappointments and our failures. We gather for healing, for laughter, and to rejoice. We gather to find new ways of loving, new ways of thinking, new ways of being. We gather. Yes, we always gather, for it is in gathering that we find our hope. I now invite our musicians to offer introit.
I'd like to invite Ted Pearson up to light our chalice. The chalice lit among us is a beacon of hope in a world of crisis, a beacon of possibility made manifest in community, a beacon of warmth through our interconnections, a beacon of light illuminating our shared wisdom, a beacon of connection by our being together.
I now invite you to rise in body or in spirit to sing our opening hymn, We Are One. This is a repetitive song, so we're going to sing it 3 times in a row. I think some of you are familiar with the words, but the words are not in the order of service, but they are on the screen. So let us sing.
We'd now like to invite the young and the young at heart to join Reverend Drew for a time for all ages.
We'll find out. It's a mystery. Oh, you're figuring it out already. All right. So I'm just going to get my props ready here. This is a story that when I tried to look up where it came from, found that there are many cultures and many different people that claim this story. So it's one of those stories that defy any particular culture and represents the values of many, I think. So, once upon a time, there were a bunch of adult leaders who were struggling to agree and figure out how to make wise decisions together. Each was sure that they had the best answers, and they had the only answers to solving their community's problems. They argued and fought for weeks, but made no progress. They just argued and argued, got mad at each other, and they called each other names. The more they argued, the less they got done. Their community was beginning to fall apart, and everyone was worried about what was going to happen. One day, a child, probably not much more older than some of our young people who are here today, was quietly gathering sticks nearby in the forest. The leaders were arguing loudly, and the child could hear every single thing that they said. "All of your ideas are stupid," one leader said to the others. Another leader shouted over everyone else and said, "I'm the only one who knows what it is the right thing to do. I'm the only one who knows what they're talking about. You need to listen to me. If you don't, you'll all be sorry." This yelling and arguing went on for some time. The child was listening and just couldn't help listening. And as they listened, they slowly walked right into the middle of all these arguing adults. Finally, one of the leaders noticed that the child was there and jokingly said, "Hey, let's see if this child, what they have to say. Maybe they have all the answers." And the child spoke. The child looked at all the leaders, and they had quiet down to listen. And the child said, "You know, I've been out in the forest and I've been collecting sticks. And I have learned something really, really important that I want to tell you." The child then took out some sticks and gave them. "You want a stick?" Maybe mommy wants a stick for you. The child said, "So, I want you to take your stick." He said this to all the leaders. "I want you to take your stick and see if you can break it." We got another break. We got a great break. We're good breakers here. "Okay," said all the adult leaders. "So what? We broke our sticks." Then the child said, "Now I want you to try and break this," and handed them a bundle of sticks, all lashed together. Said, "Now break this." They're trying really hard. Okay, do you want to give it a try? No? No, you're like, she can see where that's coming from. So one adult grabbed it and snatched the bundle and tried really hard and couldn't break the bundle. The second adult pushed the other out of the way and grabbed the sticks and propped them up on a rock and tried jumping up and down on them, but the sticks were too strong. Finally, the third adult tried to break the bundle of sticks, and then the rest of the adults calmed down as they gave up. They looked at the child and said, "Okay, so what's your point? What's the big deal? We can't break the bundle, so it's only just a bundle of sticks." "Yes," said the child. "The point is that each of you is like a single stick. Each of you has your own ideas, but as long as you argue and yell at each other and stay separate, you are weak, just like the individual sticks that I gave you. If, however, you find a way to listen to each other and hear what everybody else has to say, and then find the things that you can agree on, you become tied together like that bundle of sticks, and you become so strong that nobody can break you." A funny thing happened that day. Slowly, a couple of the adults started listening to what each person had to say, and then they slowly found a few things that they could agree on. As they did, they became stronger and wiser leaders, and by the time they all decided to work together, the child, who was little at the beginning, had actually grown up to become an adult. Things take time sometimes. But that child became known as a very wise leader who worked well with other people. Sometimes they even referred to that person who grew up and became a wise leader as the leader who is strong like a bundle of sticks. And that's our story for today, and feeds into a little bit of our theme about interconnectedness, that we need each other, we need the world around us. Can you think of some things that happen in the world that we need other people for? Even the smallest people or beings need the biggest people.
And each one of these sticks has a different say, a different word, a different personality.
Yeah.
And
I forget to bring the microphone here because you're saying all kinds of good things.
and also, no one has to be the same. You don't have to have the same idea. You don't have to be different. You just have to be yourself.
beautiful. So he's saying that all these sticks are different. None of them are the same, and that you don't have to be the same as everybody else, that everybody is unique, everybody is different, everybody has something special to share. Is that about what you said? Yeah. Good, good.
Strong as a flower. Somebody could be a some you could be a you could be like a flower or someone could be like a rock.
Yep,
You still can have a lot in common.
right, right. So he's saying some people can be like a flower and some people can be like a rock. Yep, and that they're still beautiful and they're still important. Did you have something you were going to share? No? I was thinking about this question myself, and I was thinking about, like, if there's a fire at somebody's house, does one fire person show up? No, there's a couple trucks, right? And a bunch of people on it, right? So I'm just trying to think, like, when you get into on a bus to go somewhere, is there just one person or is there a whole bunch of other people on there? There's usually a bus driver, but there's also mechanics who fix the bus and people who clean the bus and all those kinds of things. So every single day when you think about it, like when you get up in the morning and you have breakfast, like somebody grew the food, like if you're eating cereal, somebody grew the grain, the wheat that goes into making the cereal, and then somebody made the cereal, and then somebody put it in a box, and then somebody drove it to the store, and then your parents drove it to the store, and then they also got some milk, and you put it all together. There's a lot of people affect the way that we live together. Yeah.
We can also all be broken sticks. Sometimes people will break us, but we just have to piece together. Sometimes you can form a team, like
Yeah,
a teacher or someone else.
that's great. Yeah, yeah. So he's saying that sometimes in our lives we all get broken, right? And one of the great things is being able to remind ourselves that when we are broken, that there's other people that can help us out, like a parent or a teacher or a doctor or a nurse or a family member. There's all kinds of ways, right? Yeah, yeah. Hmm? Even a reverend, thank you. I like to think that I'm helpful in those kinds of ways too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Also like to think
So,
the most helpful thing that you can do is be yourself. And the person that can help you the most is yourself.
so you're saying the most important, say that again.
You can learn from yourself, basically.
We can learn from ourselves, but we also, yeah, I think that's good. And you can also be a really good friend to yourself. And we can't live completely by ourselves, no matter what. Even people who are hermits who live out in the forest or whatnot still need other people. They still need other people. They still need the trees and the plants and the animals and all and the water. They need all those things to support them. Yeah.
Some people do things that are small, and others do things that are big. No
Yep.
matter what, all of everything is big. Every little thing can be something so big.
Yep. So sometimes we do things that are big and sometimes things that are small, but all the things that we do matter. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. So with that, I'm going to end our time for the story. Thank you for your muscles and trying to break the sticks and for breaking the sticks and all your good observations. And today, since we don't have our downstairs program, the SE program, we're going to sing to you as you go back to wherever you want to sit for the rest of the service. So we're going to sing, the words will pop up here, "Stay here in peace." Dear friends, please join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Great universal Spirit, interconnected web of which we are part. We gather together in community to hold up and share the joys and sorrows that make up the experiences of our lives. Today, we mourn the loss of a dear friend, Rebecca Ames, and we hold those in our community who are infirm, who are sick, who are ill, who are trying to find out what's going on for them, and for those who have had diagnoses and have had successful operations and are coming home much earlier than they thought. Spirit, we also hold in tender sadness the memories of beloved members of our community and husbands and loved ones who have passed. May we keep their warmth and their spirit alive in our everyday experiences. Spirit, we also give thanks for the miracle of the earth and the planets and the amazing solar eclipse that we experienced this last Monday, an experience that has provided a lot of inspiration to a lot of people. We also give thanks for all the people who are part of this community who help educate our young people, and for the beautiful young people, smart, intelligent, thoughtful, kind, and caring, that they are growing into as they are nourished by this community. Spirit, we hold all these joys and all these sorrows close to our hearts because we know each and every person tells a beautiful story. Each and every person holds a deep and abiding truth. By coming together in this time, in this place, and sharing the way that we do, we grow closer to each other, and we grow closer to becoming one. Blessed be. Amen.
At this time, the morning offering will be collected.
It is with gratitude that we receive this morning's offertory to support this beloved community and Faith Linking in Action, the interfaith coalition of people of faith working to bring justice to the Bangor area. Blessed be. Amen.
Seeking that which unites us, Reverend Sarah Eileen Lawal. Spirit of life and love, in this time of uncertainty, of fear and angst, our nation holds its collective breath. In this time, when rhetoric blusters about and words are used as weapons, our nation clenches its fists, tightens its shoulders, eyes squeezed shut. Some are preparing for a fight. May we remember we are a people of resilience. We have faced uncertainty before. We have weathered storms. We have been consumed by flames. We have risen like the phoenix from the ashes. And we will again, we the people. May we remember our shared humanity, our universal kinship, our interdependence, as we unclench our fists and breathe together, breathing in love and breathing out peace. May we recognize the spark of the divine inside all of us, even those we are not quite sure about. In this time of uncertainty, remember the goodwill goes on as we work to move forward together, we the people, seeking that which unites us, with our arms reaching out wide for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. May love prevail. In the name of all that is holy, we pray. Amen, and blessed be.
This is the sound of
Thank you, Molly, Aubrey, and Jack, for that wonderful music. Aubrey, you are welcome back anytime. Can I get an amen? Yeah. Nice. Nice. Mm. One of the oldest meanings of the word religion comes from the Latin word religio, which means to bind together. According to the experts, religion began around 11,000 years ago in the Neolithic period of human development. Even before that, there is evidence that cultures had customs in their tribes that guided their worldview and perspectives. Often, they related to the natural world around them as they tried to make sense of how to live their lives as one with differing needs. The needs of the animals to feed and to roam and to reproduce, the needs of the plants to be harvested and nourished so they could produce, and the needs of human beings between the young and the old, different genders and personalities, skills and abilities. These Neolithic people were intimately entwined in the natural world. Well, there was a recognition that the spirits of all living beings had their own wants and needs, and those wants and needs needed to be taken into consideration to create sustainable and healthy relationships. This was especially true of human relationships with nature, which could change at a moment's notice and cause great suffering and even death. This intimacy led to the development of mores, traditions, and rituals that help people learn how to live together, bound together in a mutual connection for mutual benefit and survival. Now, fast forward, if you will, 11,000 years as the colonizing Europeans began arriving on the shores of North America. They, too, were religious people, many fleeing religious oppression in Europe. They came seeking freedom and opportunity to make their way in this new continent. They brought their religion with them. Their colonial morality clashed with the indigenous inhabitants. Instead of being sensitive and collaborative, they became persecutors of the indigenous people who had lived here for over 11,000 years. People who had a deep and intimate and symbiotic connection with the land, waters, plants, animals, and earth. Unfortunately, these colonial people had what is best described as extraction mentality. Instead of living in harmony with nature and other people, they felt that their calling was to subdue it, to extract its wealth, its lumber, its animals, its rocks, its ores, and its minerals. To the colonizers' mindset, human beings were above nature, and there were some human beings that they basically felt were not human beings. And so they had this power to overcome and exploit the land and the peoples and the natural resources that were so plentiful. They took a great deal of advantage. Yet still, as these colonizers fought for liberation from European control, they fought a war, a revolutionary war, for their freedom. And at the beginning of the new nation, the founding white male property owners recognized that this new nation was made up of many people that came from many varied backgrounds and would need new ways to work together, new customs, new manners, new morals, as a way to get along as a nation of people who were mixing from all over. And there were people who were part of that society that was forming who weren't white, land-owning males of privilege. They wrote a new constitution that promised life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They also formed a motto, a new motto for the newly formed nation, E Pluribus Unum, out of many, one. It was an aspirational motto, one that we continue to struggle to live up to today. Yet it still rings true as an aspiration, especially if we interpret it in its most complete and universal sense. Indigenous people, immigrants, people whose ancestors arrived here in slave ships, people who arrived yesterday seeking asylum, people who were born here and people who were born somewhere else, people who are highly educated and people who have very little formal education, people who are able-bodied and those with mobility challenges, people of great wealth and people who lack wealth. E Pluribus Unum, out of many, one. Our nation, like any other, has had its share of struggles and triumphs. We have seen progress and we have witnessed many setbacks. Yet as we continue to strive to move forward into this aspiration, we take note of the wise words of the 19th century minister Theodore Parker, who so eloquently said, the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. This sentiment echoes our collective hope and determination to build a more just and equitable society. We can extend it to understanding the role that we humans play in the natural world. E Pluribus Unum. We have lost the broadest sense of that meaning somewhere along the way. We have lost the understanding that this simple statement can transform our thinking from that of extraction culture to one that seeks to live in closer harmony with the environment. We have lost the spirit of religio, that ethic of binding ourselves to each other, and have used it as a tool instead of coercion and exclusivity, instead of using it as a means of connecting all humanity to the world of which we are part. E Pluribus Unum, an opportunity to deepen our connection with the greater human family by supporting and encouraging each of our own uniqueness through freedom, which in turn serves the greater good of the whole of existence, the whole of humanity. We know deep down that we are interconnected, but we struggle to make that a priority. We come together and figure out ways to send rockets into space almost weekly, carrying satellites that orbit the Earth to help improve communication. And we still struggle to teach effective ways of communicating nonviolently and how to listen and form relationships with people that we disagree. Instead of embracing E Pluribus Unum, we've replaced that motto with a new motto back in 1953. Does anybody know what that is? It's on the paper money that we pass around. In God we trust, which I think in some ways is ironic because it seems to lead to even greater division as we argue over which deity is right, or even if there is a divine spirit beyond the spirit of nature and the natural world. Instead, we embrace the universal truth of our interconnection. Instead of embracing the truth of our interconnection, breathe, we've embraced a model of conjecture and division. Even those white male land-owning founders of our country knew how divisive religion could be, and so they worked really hard to create a separation of church and state so that people could increase their participation and reduce breaking down the sacred binding together of interconnectedness. I wonder what would happen if we put as much money and effort into learning to collaborate and communicate and care for the earth and for each other as we do into developing technology, artificial intelligence, new cell phone operating systems. All these things provide the promise of connection, but they're only as good as our ability to connect with people. In his book, Healing the Heart of Democracy, Quaker author and spiritualist Parker Palmer uses another analogy that I find very useful to further diagnose and prescribe a remedy to our ailing democracy. Instead of being fearful of having the heart of our democracy being shattered and broken apart, what we need is a way that allows us to open, or allow our hearts to be broken open, not shattered, but broken open, so that we can allow the light of love, commitment, and creative tension to once again continue to enter into the arteries of public life. Broken open, like the way the people come together after a natural disaster and help those in need to preserve human life. Broken open, like volunteers who sit on the beach to protect endangered turtle babies as they hatch and make their dangerous trip to the ocean for the first time. Or the activists who help support people in finding their own voice and power to prevent the toxic waste storage facility being built right next to where their children play. E Pluribus Unum. A value and an ethic that is the antidote to the breaking apart of the world. A moral that helps us see the value in each and every part of the world that we live in as being a sacred entity. One of the reasons that we come together and continue the traditions of our Neolithic ancestors by coming together and worshiping together is to remind ourselves that we are not alone, to remind ourselves that our connection with one another feeds that sense of oneness. Oneness that doctors and therapists and mystics tell us is so important to our well-being, almost as important as food, clothing, and shelter. It also reminds us that even in that oneness, there is infinite room for diversity and our own uniqueness and creativity. Being together is a great way to remind ourselves to be aware and mindful of these connections. Being together helps remind ourselves that we are grateful for the blessings in our lives and also supporting each other in some of those things that happen in our lives for which we might not be so grateful. Still, the spirit of interdependence has embodied us in this motto, E Pluribus Unum, and we are connected beyond our fullest comprehension. And it is a sense of connection that we live and grow together, that we need each other in more ways than we can possibly even know. So to embody that interconnection and that sense of belonging, let us join in singing our closing hymn, Belonging. The words will appear on the screen.
Shining sun, we all belong to
As we extinguish our Unitarian Universalist chalice flame, symbol of faith, love, hope, and interconnection, let us be reminded that although our time of worship has come to an end, our service to each other and the world has just begun. Blessed be. Would you like to blow that out for us? No? Just like a birthday candle. There you go. There we go. Wonderful. Thank you. I now invite you all to join in singing our benediction.
Let us go forth into the week ahead, striving to be faithful to our life's journeys, serving the needs of the earth and its inhabitants, sharing in the spirit of love in all we say and do, sharing in the spirit of love in all we say and do, sharing in the spirit of love in all we say and do. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed, blessed be.